Hello everyone and welcome to an actual devlog. This time we'll be introducing the many new mechanics brought in to spice up GrappleRun's level design, as I mentioned I'd work on in my retrospective. The first I'll introduce are jump and slide variants for grapple points and other mechanics. How this works is that each interactable point has an optional metadata value, which has a mystery number. Ooh. But actually, this number is the base 10 version of a set of binary flags, which Godot uses for physics objects to check if an object can or can't collide with another, because a set of true-false values would have been too simple, I guess. This is also a system I use to implement the normal jump and slide tiles, so checking the collision layer effectively checks if a player is jumping or sliding. In the code that detects interactable points and saves them for reference, I simply added a check that using that meta tag that if its flags match my flags, then I can grab it. That's it. These add a little more variety into how you grapple, use switches, etc., forcing you to chain a jump or slide into the interaction first. I'm planning to explain this away with stuff like, oh, that keep up point is on the ceiling, bucko, or, buddy boy, how could you forget that the switch is under the counter? So far, I don't have any ideas for marking them, so my main idea is to add a little red or blue outline, depending on if you have to jump or slide respectively. If you have any other suggestions, comment them down below. After that is the burning tile, which is the one I programmed first. These tiles speed you up, but when you step on them, you gradually start burning up. If you let yourself burn too hot, you instantly die. So how do you bypass this? Simple, like how you put out all fires on a person. Stop, drop, and roll. Or in the case of GrappleRun, repeatedly alternate between jumping and sliding to keep yourself away from the fire and put it out. This implementation ended up being quite simple, just adding to your burn value over time and subtracting if it detects if you jumped or slid. If it reaches over 100, you're out. I did have to modify the player's shader, but luckily it was a 2-line mod. This is a simple tile, but I thought having some kind of boost pad would help differentiate in each run in the time it takes to complete, making for cool time trial shenanigans. Next up is the cling ceiling. These are ultimately very simple, acting like the typical mesh wall or ceiling in games that you can cling to maneuver over death pits. GrappleRun's implementation is very simple. You get onto the cling ceiling by pressing jump when you get under it, and you have to hold jump until you reach an area with solid ground below you. If you let go too early, you die, falling to some deep, dark abyss. It's definitely bare when it comes to visual presentation right now, but it works. Another feature is the addition of slingshot points. Slingshot points allow you to perform the most obvious trick one can do with stretchy arms. Use them to fling yourself. When you grab onto one, you start slowing down as you're pulled back tight. At the height of your sling, you can let go and let yourself fling away into the stratosphere or a faraway part of the level. This one's implementation is interesting because while it's not obvious from my messy code, the player does have a state machine set up. This is the first time I've not had to add not only a new state, but a new script for said state in ages. Lastly, you have the sunken blocks. These are very interesting because they sort of redefine the way subject GR can move. Let me explain. On the surface, these seem like normal slow blocks. If you try to move through them, your move speed becomes dramatically slower. If you jump over them, you can avoid that. Cool, awesome. But what happens if you slide in one, dig yourself deeper into the sunken tiles? Well, you stop completely. How do you start back up again? Jump out of the sunken tile for a boost. But why would you want to stop completely? Simple. Moving obstacles. Throughout GrappleRun's development, objects in each level have been mostly static. Yes, things appeared and disappeared, but nothing moved. But if I was to try adding some without any consideration, they'd suck. Why? Because there's no obvious way to slow down for something to happen. GrappleRun's an auto runner, and strafing backwards is strictly prohibited, so there's no real way to slow down in the game as it is right now. But with sunken blocks, you can pause and wait for something to happen before jumping right out. So with sunken blocks, I also plan to add real moving elements to GrappleRun levels. But that's not all. While you're stopped, Subject GR can not only wait, but turn. Yes, this block marks a new way for subject GR to fully turn without grappling. This should add way more variety into the game. That's where I'll mark the devlog off for today. If you enjoyed what you watched, please like and subscribe, but also check out the demo in my Blue Sky account for more GrappleRun. It'll be in the description and in the comments if the description links don't work. See you next time!